think I got the name Florence Indian Mound Museum, and there's a diagram of the mound.
Say that the climate in North Alabama 12,000 years ago is comparable to what southern Canada is today. So much, much different as people do. And they start living in a different way. That different way is larger groups. They live along the river in the summertime. They live in wooded areas in the fall. And in our area, they're taking advantage of both freshwater mussels along the river and hickory nuts. People started living in larger villages and started experimenting with horticulture. So not quite farming, but experimenting with different plants like sunflowers, harvesting the seeds, gathering seeds, and eating greens. People in the woodland period built this mound. This mound was built about 1,700 years ago. We think that it was built in 2 stages. And one stage was kind of a rounded top mound. And a later generation came in and finished it off as a flat top mound on holidays. And people from around the area would have known exactly where this spot was and would have gathered here at different times of the year, just like we do for different occasions. Wall around it. You can't really see this
42 feet tall.
But about 300 feet from the base, there was a wall that was about 15 feet in height. And it went from the riverbank over this way to the riverbank over this way.
Now there's over 71,000 square feet and a flat top 145 feet in length.
People often ask me sometimes, Brother Tom, how did they build that thing? They did it with white oak baskets.
And it was a very time-consuming process. It was built by probably one basket at a time, the mounds, and people would gather there for the ceremonies.
I think that it was celebrations, time of the green corn.
By a palisade.
The woodland cultures did not have palisades or enclosures for protection.
We really don't know. I've heard so many variations of that, why the wall was there.
Atop the mound, or within the boundaries of the wall.
Over 90% of the content of woodland mounds is mystery.
To me, it is a very, very spiritual place. And I will tell you right now, all of the native people that have been here will tell you the same thing.
Out logs to be made into dugout canoes.
They had the river here. They had this fantastic fertile land here. Absolutely.
No longer were these natives primarily hunters and gatherers. The moderate climate and rich soils allowed farming of sunflowers, corn, beans, squash, maize, and other vegetables.
Nice new visitor center, and they have stalactites hanging down from the top. Paleo-Indian period, great extinctions, different ice age glacial stages. There is an outer wall, and then in the center is the mound that's in front of us, the way it looked a long time ago, about 2,000 years ago. About 2,000 years ago, there were the little family groups here kind of before us. This is the middle period. 1,500 years ago, and they started fighting with each other, and they had ceremonial rituals.
In the back of his house, he dug up a little.
Here's the mussel shells with the buttons punched out, and here they've just put a hole in them. So they were probably for necklaces, not buttons. Buttons came later, 300 years ago. We started having social inequality. Chiefly lineages were inherited at birth, and the rest of the people were peons. And then the Spanish showed up in the 1500s. Hernando de Soto, Trail of Tears. In 1835, a delegation from the federal government met with tribal leaders and said, "You got 2 years to get to Oklahoma." Over 16,000 Cherokees were locked up in stockades and marched 800 miles west. Maybe one of them was one of my ancestors. It was the Cherokees, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminoles. Here's some clothes that they wore about the time that the Europeans arrived. This mound originally didn't have any trees on it, and there wasn't a staircase either, but it is there today. About 75 steps up there. And I didn't know. I know about the Civil Rights Act of 1964, but not the Indian Civil Rights Act of 1968, guaranteeing civil rights to indigenous people, and Public Law 91-495 restored the right of the tribe to hold general elections. In 1971, governor became the first elected governor of the Chickasaw since 1904. They have adopted a new constitution that was ratified by the U.S. in 1983. It is from the other side, museums in front of us. We're in Huntsville, Alabama. Didn't know we were going to come here.
All right, good morning, everyone.
This is an Apollo 7 lunar spacesuit. I guess this is the Apollo 7. It was on an Apollo lunar landing mission. The lunar roving vehicle increased the distance the astronauts could explore. That would be on the moon. I don't know which one this is, but here's one you can touch it, but that's made out of something solid that never went anywhere. It's just a display.